Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Hello, Elliot. Welcome to the January 21st service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Grand Traverse. My name's Dan Tholen. I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee and coordinating today's service with Mary Ann. Thank you very much for coming. Welcome to those of you online. We're happy to have you with us from wherever you are. I know we have several people out west, Tucson, Boise, I hope, and certainly some in Florida. Welcome wherever you are, and visitors from anywhere who are here. Thank you for coming. I hope you're all enjoying January. It's been interesting anyway, right? So, hard to ignore. How much snow will we get? Will the plows come? Hope, we got worry, we got fear, we got beautiful scenery, and it's a good time to huddle in if you can. If you made it in today, welcome. If you're warm at home, good for you. Any of you here anxious about Detroit Lions today? Yeah. I hope you have a happy day. On days like this, I think of my father, who never stopped reminding me that I was born on a Sunday in November when he had tickets. Didn't seem to forget that. And my mother, who always knew to plan Thanksgiving meal for halftime. So I'll be thinking of my father today. Are there any visitors here with us in the sanctuary today, or returning guests who'd like to announce themselves? Give us your name. If you're comfortable, please stand and we'll have a microphone for you. Any visitors? Okay, you'll hear from two of our visitors in a few minutes. I do have, and for those here in the sanctuary, we have a book over here for your joys and concerns for the next 10 minutes or so. If you can go over there, if there's anything you'd like to share, any joys, concerns, issues that you'd like to have read, you're willing to share in front of the congregation, please do so. I'll read them just a little bit later. I have one announcement before we begin, and that is to remind you that next Saturday, January 27th, from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, will be our UUCGT Going Deeper Soul Matters Retreat. You'll see some signs around here. It's open to all, whether you're totally new or curious about soul matters or already familiar with soul matters and ready to explore it further. Bring a bag lunch and come ready to experience Soul Matters' connective, deep listening approach in action. Our facilitation team will also be unpacking the uniquely UU theology behind the program, providing glimpses into facilitator training and answering any questions. At the congregation, we've been following the Soul Matters monthly themes for a few years now, and I found them quite insightful and provocative and the basis of many of the comments I've made here and many of the services from the Sunday Services Committee, and the men's group has enjoyed talking about them in their own different ways. So I wanted to make this announcement early because we are doing quite a bit from this month's theme here today. So let's get on with our centering music, Mary
Ann. This is a song I wrote some years back, and as often happens, I really didn't know what I was writing about at the time. And it came back to me that it would be a good introduction to today. I was loved when I came so long ago. I was home on the day I was born. I was peace to all those who would know. I was love on that faraway morn. For I believed in the beauty of my soul, and I held the promise of tomorrow. Oh, kept coming back again. I was born so long ago. I was hope on the day I was born. I was peace to all those who would know. I was love on that faraway morn. But soon my trust was gone, my heart had turned to stone, and I built a fortress for my child within. Oh, I hid away till I could face all my fears and embrace the light of love again. For we are love when we forgive the hurting hand. We are love when we finally understand that if we're love, we'll find innocence again. We are love, we are love, we are love. We are love, we are love, we are love.
The title of today's service is Liberating the Love Within Us. It's a topic that could go many places. When we were talking about this service, we were looking through the material that I'll refer to here in a minute. But in other services this month, like last week, we looked at liberating love in other people, the love that allows us to liberate other people. And next Sunday also, we'll be talking about justice for all. So this week we wanted to look at liberating the love within us, not the outreach to other peoples, but what's coming into us, and liberating love that may be repressed somehow. This all sounded like a good approach when we put together the idea, but then started wondering where to take it. Who'd be willing to talk about some of these fairly deep personal issues? Fortunately, Mary Ann offered to do that and saved me from the heavy lifting. But we're grateful that you're here today to share your experiences with us. I wanted to introduce the service by reading the introduction to Liberating Love packet for the month that came in the Soul Matters pamphlet. It seemed to summarize it all quite nicely. So it goes this way. Love, it sits in the chest, at least at the start. It's what makes our hearts beat again after being broken, and our lungs breathe again after being closed off in the dark for far too long. For some, it came in the form of our grandfather's eyes, which saw us as carriers of something bigger and more precious and older than our little bodies could disclose. For others, it arrived as we pressed hard against our mother's warm skin and heard a speechless whisper say that we can always come home. We recognized love as the thing that allowed us to finally remove our masks, or that which said, I don't want you to take it off until you're ready. We were taught love by those who arrived in the midst of our fear and shook as we shook, instead of simply trying to make our trembling stop. But here's the secret, the inevitable awakening, the wonder that each of our lives is meant to reveal. Love doesn't just love us, it asks us to become it. That's why these metaphors of comforting quilts that wrap us in their warmth will never really do. True love is always a thunderstorm that cracks us clean open so the echoes of other breaking hearts can make their way in. Yes, it wants us to be whole and strong, but love's deepest longing is that which we will use that strength to tear down the structures that leave others bloodied and bruised. We must always remember what Selma's prophet of peace regularly preached. Love and power are always rightly wed. And maybe this is where the second secret comes loose. As I shake the walls to let others free, I learn that the ones I've liberated include me. So come, let us worship together this morning.
What if sometimes it's not about a light in the darkness? What if sometimes it's about sparking potential and possibility into existence? What if sometimes the name that burns in the chalice of our faith is nothing less than the ember of hope and nothing more than love set ablaze? What if sometimes all we need to do is follow this flame, one among scores, hundreds, thousands of steadily flickering flames across the land and among so many people on the way to justice and into the land of peace? What if we dare to kindle that chalice? Now follow the sound of the bowl into a place of quiet and peace where we may listen together to find the depth of our true love and its gifts.
Opening hymn. Rise if you're able. We'll sing them out. It's that time in the service to remind you, I think what you already know, it takes your support to keep the congregation running. Much of the love we share within these walls and outside the walls is our gifts that put action to our words. But some of our gifts need to be expressed financially if this congregation and our activities in the community are to endure. So we'll be passing some baskets. They have two sides, one side for the community and one side for our activities within the congregation. For those of you at home, you see on your screen some ways to give. We appreciate your support. Please be generous, and thank you. Time in the service when we can share the joys and the concerns that have been offered up by our members for me to read to you, so we can hold these thoughts in our hearts today. First of all, well, none of these are named. It'd be nice if we have to put in here, please give your name so we know who it came from. But anyway, first of all, a joy. So very grateful to see the sun shining and for our community here at UU. We have a concern and love going out to Marcia Bellinger and her family. Marcia has a broken hip and will have surgery today. And another candle for Marcia, who fell and suffered a fractured hip and is having surgery. So we'll think of Marcia today. Happy birthday to Penny Orr. And Max Oldbear has had a pacemaker placed in, and he already feels better and more energetic. So good for you, Max. If you're watching, get better. We understand there's other joys and concerns you have that maybe didn't get entered in the heart in the book, so we'll take a moment here and reflect on these joys and concerns and those that too dear to express.
I will be speaking today and followed by two friends who have agreed to share their struggles to get that love out of here and into the world. We all have a different story, and I was thinking that it might be nice to just take a few moments of quiet after we each finish. I've heard or read this expression somewhere. How about trusting people enough to offer yourself up as a work in progress? Maybe Alex used it in one of his sermons, or I found it in a meditation. But wherever I did, I was struck with the possibility that I could still be growing and engaging, What a concept. What a wonderful, freeing permission to be who I am at any given moment, instead of that seeker for approval, that longer for love. I grabbed onto the idea as a further aid in my personal search for understanding. Years of frustration, anger, confusion, questions. So here I am offering myself to you as a work in progress. I was born in 1938. I'll wait just a second while you figure that one out. A time when children were not treated as anything too special. My parents actually were more interested in their social life than their kids. We were allowed so much freedom back then, roaming the neighborhood, exploring the woods, playing outside or inside all day, with only a PB&J, you know what those are, to sustain us. We had a gang of us always looking for something to get into. Spanking was not considered child abuse. It was part of growing, helping us to grow into good children. Well, I came from a very confusing family, full of humor and sarcasm and criticism and demands and deceit and high expectations about appearances. One of the favorite phrases, "What will the neighbors think?" I felt off balance most of the time. I have read Dr. Bowen, the psychologist, and he suggests that our early childhood sets us up for a pattern of beliefs and behaviors that we follow as we mature. I was told that I was fat, that I was a pinhead, that I was dumb, etc. So I learned early on I needed to protect myself from the slings and arrows of my family. Well, the problem with protecting myself so well was, in the long run, I locked away so much of the love I could have shared, and that meant I had to work so very hard all these years to find a key that might open me up. I tried prayer, I tried counseling, I tried medicine, men, music, books, but it still didn't work. The first glimmers of trust to reappear from my infant time was when I was in my early 20s and I had my first child. Oh my, did the hidden love jump out for her? Oh, not a problem. And then a couple of years later, her sister came and there was more love. When my dear, beloved and trusted grandma became ill and died, the grief I felt got buried for years, down deep with the anger and frustration already planted there. I blamed my parents, especially my mother, because of all the alcohol, for hurting me so much. I had to build that fortress within to keep me safe. When I finally accepted my part in how my life was going and used Dr. Bowen's methods to study my own family and their families and see how they were raised, I was one step closer to being whole. I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her name was grief. That struck me. I heard it on a Buddhist podcast. I wept for the years of missing the love and acceptance I craved and the half-love I offered to friends and lovers. But of course you know what comes next. The forgiveness starts right here. I have to forgive myself. I have to let go of the shame and the guilt that I was taught. And finally, I have to trust this world of which I'm a tiny part. A quote from a wonderful book I'm reading, Covenant of Water. You're human. You're flawed. You think you're alone? No. You deserve to be forgiven. We all do. So a final thank you to you all for helping me as a work in progress. When I come in the doors of this building, I may not make it through this one. I have a physical reaction, a letting go, a warmth, a feeling that there is love here for me that I deserve.
that I will be heard and seen, and that this is a safe place for me to give my love, to share my love. And so please, finally understand that when we are love, we find innocence again. We are love. Thank you. And now, just a moment of silence, and then, are you next? And then Fawn Ryan will come up. Fawn Ryan is a friend of many, many years. Not only a friend, but the masseuse who has kept my body moving. And those of you who did the math will know how long I've been moving.
A therapist whom I deeply respect and who helped me see things in new ways and love myself in new ways once shocked me when I told him that, despite all of my self-work I had done and continued to do, I still felt very guarded and had a hard time trusting others. I told him I was very particular with whom I let in and got close to, who I opened up to. He said to me, "So what? Why is this a negative thing? It's okay to not trust everyone, to not let everyone in. In fact, I think it's very wise." Another time I told him how good I had been feeling in learning to set boundaries with my family members and creating a healthier life for myself, but that I was really struggling to forgive my parents for the neglectful and abusive childhood I had. I told him that while I felt like I had made peace with my past, while I felt compassion for them, and logically could rationalize that forgiveness, I could not genuinely feel it in my body. He again said to me, "So what? Why do you need to forgive them? Have they asked for your forgiveness? Forgiveness is for you. It's not for them." I then serendipitously read an article later that day that was in my mailbox when I arrived home on forgiveness. And the author had a similar take, that forgiveness is working to not hold angst in our hearts, to not let someone else's actions have a hold on us. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to let it go, but can you let it be? I fully believe it is important to live life leading with kindness and love, a basic love for this planet and all the living things it encompasses. I believe it is important to help those in need, to share what we have with one another, to be caring and respectful. I can love my parents and be kind to them and still hold boundaries and protect my heart, still not ever understand how they could do the things that they did. Trust, love, and forgiveness are all things that can be measured. I think it's more gray than black and white. And I have come to feel comforted by the idea that it is not a blanketed expectation that all humans get those things from us at intimate levels. That I do get to keep myself feeling safe in regulating how and with whom I exchange input and output. This, among other things, has helped me settle into a much calmer place in my life and to create much healthier relationships with healthier people. We are human. It can be messy. Messy is okay.
Our next speaker is Cindy Pascal. And we met in a small group, and we still belong to a small group. She is a newer friend, but nonetheless a very dear friend, and she's willing to share her thoughts.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Most of you I don't know, so I want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in a small rural farm community in a home where we had family meals from the garden, went to church a few times a week, and had regular church potlucks. My parents attended all my athletic competitions and band performances and supported me to excel in academics, student leadership, and 4-H. From the outside, my childhood home appeared to be one we all hope for, to feel the safety of having our physical needs met and support to grow and become. In that, I count myself fortunate. But at the same time, my need for unconditional love and acceptance was softly, brutally stripped away in the quiet of the night while others slept. To survive, my developing unconscious mind learned to protect me from nighttime dad so I could live with daytime dad. It wasn't until my late 20s that I crashed and realized my competitive quest to be the best at everything was burning me out, and the feelings of what had happened way back then began to seep through the cracks of the armor I so craftily built around my heart. This was the beginning of the next 30+ years of working on recovering what I believe I was meant to be. Fast forward to now. The day Mary Ann called me to confirm that I would speak today, I got totally derailed. Committing to talking about my life in front of a church community frightened me. My secret shame shut me right down. First, I found distractions. Better leave the house before the snowstorm shuts me in. I came up with things I needed to do. Pick up a prescription, change the Christmas front porch into Valentine hearts, drop off items to friends. As I drove away, I started to feel physically ill. Nausea set in. The ache of a possible fever and fatigue said, shorten this list and go home for a nap, which I did. When I got home, I turned on a new Netflix series to binge and drifted in and out. When I got up, I could barely finish the chicken soup I had started. And so I binge watched some more. Before I went to bed, I looked at my unfinished list and told myself, tomorrow I'll do better. But I knew unless I resolved the internal battle with my shame, this would happen again. Tuning out and focusing on my physical pain and finding mindless distractions are some of my drugs. Giving in to the why I can'ts keeps me safe from even thinking about the fear of what might happen the next time I expose my story. Fears from the past of being misunderstood, not seen, then abandoned, and maybe even banished, can feel smothering and so diminishing. I want to run from it as if it's going to kill me. Yet it also keeps me from connecting in a way that allows love to heal. And it is that connection that has changed major derailments when triggered, that used to take days, sometimes weeks to find balance again, to today when it's just a quick reminder for me to pay attention to love. So this is why I speak. There's a reason we have strong social taboos and strict laws against incest. Families and victims become soul fractured and broken in ways that require skilled, professional help, much like the need for a heart surgeon when the heart is physically damaged. And without that help, individuals, families, communities are at risk of complications that can result from addiction, violence, mental illness, anxiety, and depression. I doubt if I would be alive today if I hadn't had access to that help. But here's the thing decades of hard work on early childhood incest recovery has taught me. Love is what saw through the horror and believed in the light in me. Love didn't try and rescue me, but sat with the painful memories. Love knew letting feelings be felt was the path to be able to rebuild a more authentic life. A life that can see and feel love, that glimmers in the eye of a stranger. Love that turns on the aha light. And love that says, I'm still here, even when I loudly and ferociously push it away. Love says, sit here with me. Listen to the waves. Feel the wind on your face. Watch the sky transform as the sun says goodbye. Love says, I believe in you, and I see how deeply you're hurting. Love hugs with permission and holds until it's let go. Love doesn't judge, shame, or blame, but is quiet and humble, waiting for its invitation for when I have the courage to be still and surrender. Love sings soothing melodies and says, this is home. Home where I can breathe without hesitation and laugh and cry and dance. Where love sees and puts in front of me the invitation to wonder, ponder, and create. Love knows I am unique and important, yet also reminds me I am the same as all others. Love is the thread that mends my ripped, broken, bloody heart, stitching me back together, bringing me back home to connect, to build that snowman, snow fort, or ice rink with the others in my community. Love has turned my black and white, fearful world into multicolored adventures of joys to celebrate and hope through the hard times. It fills me up and spills over. When I remember the wave of love is right here, ready to carry me to the next thing, I can trust love to be my navigator, my rock, and my protector. Some of you here have shown up to be that love for me. Thank you, and please know how important you have been. To the rest of you, thank you for being that glimmer, that spark, that hug for others when you have met a heart that is broken. Please keep doing this, because this love is what matters. And when it's your heart that is breaking, remember, love is waiting for your courage to reach out to helpers. Don't let shame, disguised as pride, convince you to be alone in your hurt.
Powerful stories. Let's take a moment of silence to absorb it. Now, if you could rise, if you're willing and able, for our closing hymn. It's become our tradition here now to join hands, if you're comfortable doing so. If you're not, we have this symbol for I'm not going to hold your hand. I prefer to keep those germs away, but anyway. Have our hymn. Thank you.
These are words from Amanda Alice Uhane. Together we've enjoyed the warmth and beauty of stories, of this flame, and of this special community. As our chalice flame is extinguished this morning, we can still remember that it's glowed, carried within us. We can use our inner lights and this flame to kindle new sparks throughout our lives and in the world. May the spirit of peace and togetherness bless your lives. Since we made the announcements at the beginning of the service, and I just want to say, Dan and I hope that this service has brought new joy and strength of possibilities into your hearts. We thank Cindy and Fawn and me for sharing our stories and trusting in the safety of this place, and trusting in the safety of this place. May we all grow in strength and love, and may it be so.
I'll make one more announcement on your way
Oh,
out.
I'm sorry. I did not know about this.
And that's the Vision Mission Covenant Task Force is waiting for your visions of the future. You've seen it in the flash. If you haven't, please look. But our objective is to have these visions done by the end of the month. So please, some of us have done it. It's not very painful, really. Just take a few minutes and give us your vision for what you see happening. Some specific image you see of the happenings in this congregation 5 years from now. So if you get a chance, please, this week, if you can do it. Thank you.